What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here, thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we are on the test server here today, so thank you PlayerIn for allowing us access to the test server. And we are here to talk about two champions that are getting some nice rebalance changes. I think overall, players that have these champions currently will probably be pleasantly surprised at these upgrades. So let's jump right into the balance changes. Alright, so the first champion that we're going to talk about here is the Skinwalker Force Affinity Warchief. So Warchief on the live server, I'm going to provide a infograph here of his current skills on the live server, and then we can compare against his new kit here. So his new kit here, on his A1, he has the same triple hit, 25% chance to place provoke, but instead of having damage be proportional to his defense, it's going to be changed to each hit also heals this champion and an ally with the lowest HP by 3%. Of this champion's max HP, damage is still defense based. So it's kind of weird because you're now focusing on HP on him to get bigger heals, but his damage is still defense based. Overall, I think the A1 is actually pretty decent. You get a provoke out of it, you get a self heal, and you get a lowest ally heal. It's similar to like how Duchess has like a double hit and then she places a 10% shield. In this case, you get 3% heals and then you get a chance to provoke, which is still pretty good. His A2, we can move on to his A2 here. Marauder. After the rebalance, it's going to be attack one enemy, steals all buffs from the target, then places provoke on them for 3 turns. That's actually pretty huge. 3 turns of provoke. Also has 50% chance of placing provoke on all enemies for 1 turn. Very nice. Then places a shield on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's defense. I mean, you don't need to be a genius to look at his current A2 and compare it to his updated A2 and realize that this is an incredible like upgrade, right? So instead of stealing 2 buffs, random buffs, you can steal all the buffs from 1 target, and then you still get the provoke for 3 turns. But now you have a chance, 75% when fully booked, to provoke everybody. And on top of that, you are getting a shield on your whole team as well. It's going to be proportional to your defense. Yet to test this out, so we don't know what the scaling of the shield will be, but this is a pretty big upgrade. It's on a 3-turn cooldown as opposed to the original 3-turn down to 2 turns. So it's not going to be as, overkill coverage for provoke, but you still get a 3-turn coverage provoke for a 3-turn cooldown, which is still incredibly strong. I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be an AoE provoke as well as a shield, and it's a strip as well. So it's actually very, very decent. I noticed his book distribution has changed a little bit, so you get a pretty big 40% damage boost, and then you have 2 books that instead of being damaged have been replaced with the buff and debuff chance. So a little bit different with the book spread, but you still probably need to hit all the books into here just to get maximum value out of this. So now let's quickly go over his new passive. So his old passive is stand still, reflects 60% of the damage taken back to the attacker. Defense increases by 15% for each dead ally. So that seems to be completely changed now. So when an ally under shield buff is hit by an enemy, heals the ally by 25% of the damage dealt to the shield. So it's kind of like similar to what Brogni can do, where he places a shield, and if your allies get hit, they heal instead. It's actually kind of annoying. Because you have to break through the shield before you can actually start doing some damage to them. Increases this champion's defense by 10% for each enemy under provoke. Will increase this champion's defense by 5% for each enemy under provoke, not under provoke debuff. So it's actually a pretty good upgrade over the previous one, where it's 60% of reflect 60%, and then defense increase for 15% of each dead ally. So he previously was kind of like, oh, I'm super strong, I'm going to solo you, blah, blah, blah. But his upgrade makes him more of a team support champion, boosting your team protection, controlling enemy waves. And it's just generally like a more useful kit, to be honest. And lastly, don't forget his aura also got better as well. His aura became increase ally accuracy in all battles by 60. And previously, currently in live servers, he has no aura. So you give him this super relevant all battles aura, and then you give him a kit that actually makes him useful in a team setting. Good support, good crowd control, and he can self-sustain himself with increasing his own defense. He can heal your team. He can heal himself. It's actually a really cohesive, good kit, and I think anyone that pulled this guy early can definitely make this guy really work for him. And obviously, he's going to be good in places like Hydra as well. He's going to be able to provoke the Head of Decay. He has an AoE provoke as well as a single target provoke and an A1 provoke as well. It's just, yeah, he's going to be a lot better than what he currently is. Definitely a great balance change for him. Definitely increasing his ability to fit into more players' rosters and makes him just generally more useful. So great rebalance. All right, so up next, the next champion we want to talk about that's getting a rebalance update is actually from the Ogren tribes, Void Legendary Gurgoh. Very old champion here, but he's getting a nice little rework as well. I'm going to put his old kit here in this visual as well, so you guys can compare as we talk over his new kit. So going over his new kit, his A1 attacks one enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target has a freeze debuff. So basically no change from his existing A1. His A2 removes all buffs from all enemies, and then it has an 80% fully booked up to 100% chance of placing a freeze on all enemies, then grants an extra turn. So if you can compare this move to his original current move, it's no longer just removing 2 random buffs, it's removing all the buffs, which makes sense, right? Because obviously champions nowadays, they got so many buffs. Removing 2 random buffs probably isn't enough nowadays. So removing all buffs, that's a pretty big upgrade for him. It's not a great move still. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, gives you an extra turn, so effectively like a 3-turn cooldown. And then AoE freeze. Keep in mind, guys, when enemies are frozen, they take less damage. So let's move on to his A3. His A3 now becomes a 5-turn cooldown down to 4 turns, attacks all enemies, places decreased defense on all of them for 2 turns, and then places an extra hit if the target is under freeze debuff. So currently, his avalanche move is downright horrible, attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target has a freeze debuff on a 5-turn cooldown. So this avalanche move got a massive update. It goes from single target to AoE, and then it goes from no debuff to AoE decreased defense. And it's going to be an extra AoE hit. So his damage literally just went from single target to tons. Like it just went from, nothing to something. And then the cooldown reduction from 6 turns down to 5 turns, when fully booked from 5 turns down to 4 turns, which is way more reasonable. So Gurgoh will be able to place decreased defense and then double slam AoE hit. Like things like this we have to test out in terms of multipliers, if that changed at all. No wording about multiplier changes, so we can assume maybe the multipliers stay the same, which kind of sucks, but at least the skill got a massive update here. Going over to his passive already also got reworked as well. So his new passive is when hit by an enemy has 30% chance of placing a freeze debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. So he basically has like a built-in, frost set, I guess. But yeah, he has a small chance to place a freeze when he is hit. And then his passive also increases the damage inflicted by all allies against enemies under freeze debuff by 25%. His current passive has a 50% chance of placing a freeze debuff on the attacker for 1 turn if this champion loses 20% of their max HP in 1 hit. So, sometimes that's not good enough. Honestly, that's not good enough. This passive is a massive update because it's 30% chance on any hit, not just 20% of his max HP is on any hit. And this damage buff to your team is actually really good. It basically negates the freeze damage reduction when enemies are under freeze. So It's a really good passive. It's going to make your team a lot stronger as well, and it gives him more chances of landing freeze on an enemy when he is only basically touched by any enemy. Lastly, his aura. So I'm going to move my head here, but check out this aura that he currently has. 44% ally attack boost in faction crypts only, and it gets changed to ally speed in arena battles by 30%. 30%, guys, that's the same as Arbiter. So he has an insanely good aura now for arena. I mean, especially if you pull this guy early, he's a massive game changer, right? Because he can strip, freeze, that's CC, and then he can also place the decreased defense, and he can also hit. Yeah, he has tons of freezes. He has so much freeze in his kit. Every one of his moves has freeze. His passive has freeze. And then he brings AoE decreased defense, big slams. Sorry, this move doesn't bring freeze, but it benefits from freeze. Big slams and all that. And now he has a really solid aura to be used in arena. I don't think his multiplier is going to be insane or anything, but maybe this double hit with the decreased defense can actually kill some people, right? So honestly, compared to his current kit, this kit is like miles better. Also miles more versatile because he can, basically boost damage now and bring AoE decreased defense. And of course, he can be a speed aura for players that just pull him, randomly from a shard and they need to progress in arena. Now you have a really strong speed aura in arena. And of course, he can definitely play in arena as well. Looks like a very good arena champion. Also just basic progression champion as well. But honestly, it's a massive rework compared to what he currently is. That's not saying much because what he currently is basically really bad because he's a void legendary. But this upgrade and rebalance definitely brings him a bit closer to being a void legendary. I'm not saying this kit is like insanely good. Like maybe if this was a 3-turn cooldown AoE decreased defense with an extra hit, I would say that would be like void legendary levels. And maybe if this was like 50% or something, just something better, right? But it's a lot better than what it currently is, and we gotta be happy with that. So great. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. These are two good, not overpowered rebalance changes for champions that really needed it. Their existing kits were just really bad and not usable. So really good. I mean, 2 thumbs up for Plarium for doing this. I like that they're keeping up with it. Maybe not as often as they mentioned. I think they said every month they were going to do it, but I think maybe they missed a couple months here and there. But overall, they have been keeping up with it. And these are good champions for them to do it on. And I really like the balance changes on some of the most recent rebalances on some of these champions. Made them viable, not overpowered. And yeah, I think that's a good thing. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the new Warchief and new Gurgoh. Do you guys own these champions? Are you guys excited to use these champions? And yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.